Yes, so now it is. Okay, so today will be to me, a special podcast to speak about.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of questions about yourself, who you are, different things that helped you, and vice versa, right? So, you just want to, again, look at me, tell me who you are. Why are we here?
I'm Zach, and we're here to discuss about autism, comics, and cannabis.
Great. So, we are doing something a little different that not a lot of people see, and you're getting your hair braided. And it's not just any old hair braiding, there's a significant reasoning behind that.
Yeah.
So if you just want to tell us what that reasoning is.
Well, I used to pick out my hair, and now that I stopped, when I was younger, I used to pick out all my hair, and I don't know, it was just a thing that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm older, I was like, I think it's time since I stopped picking out my hair, sorry, and I was like, come on, can we go do this? And she said, yeah, we can try that. And I was like, okay.
Did it bring you comfort, or was it just like a tick that you really couldn't not do?
I'd probably say like a tick.
A tick?
Yeah.
So it caused you pain?
Yeah,
right?
it hurt, but I couldn't stop doing it.
So when people see children or adults that do these type of things and they think they are quote unquote crazy, how do you deal with that type of stereotype towards yourself?
I would probably have to tell them it's a tick. It's not crazy. It's just a thing that you were probably born with, you know, and you can't help it.
Yeah. So what would be the difference between you and a quote unquote normal person?
Probably, I have autism,
right?
And I already said that multiple times.
It's alright. As more you watch my videos, I look at the camera and be like, I have no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah, but sorry. What was the question again?
It's good, buddy. So, what is the difference between you and a quote unquote normal person, if there is one?
Okay, so probably the difference I would have to say is I have trouble understanding something sometimes, and you would probably have to repeat it and try to say it a different way so that I can understand.
Yeah.
You know.
So, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. You'll probably have to repeat it or show me, you know?
Yeah. So, of course, not a lot of people understand that type of lifestyle that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
And some people will get upset or even irritated. Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's so hard for people to understand that other people are different and that's okay?
Probably... Probably because they don't know how to feel about it or something. Yeah.
How does that make you feel then?
I'm sorry, but I don't really sometimes really pay attention to how others feel about me, especially if I don't know them.
Yeah.
So I'd probably have to go with that.
Right. So you just live your life how you want to live your life.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. So what is a difficult thing that you have in your life that you have to overcome? Of course, you say, understanding things or not being able to get it the first time. So is there anything else that you have to overcome that we may not see?
Sensory issues.
Sensory issues. I have this... soft or hard feeling, I like soft things, feeling, I don't know, animals, certain textures,
He doesn't like certain textures, and there's certain textures that he really, really enjoys that brings him comfort. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love a soft blanket, so does that...
Yeah, soft blankets, animals,
You don't like microfiber towels.
Oh, yeah, microfiber towels aren't good.
Cotton. He doesn't like cotton either. Like the cotton balls or
really?
Like that.
No.
Yeah.
Certain sounds or environments that can be too overstimulating.
High-pitched sounds are not good at all. I can't stand huge crowds either. So I'll just like probably break down and just like I wouldn't know what to do if I'm like in a huge crowd when everybody's just surrounding me.
How do you feel?
Uh,
Like
when that's happening?
yeah, even if it doesn't make sense, how does it make you feel? Like trapped in a box or enclosed, suffocating.
It feels like I'm trapped, like that's somewhere I can't get out of, and I would just shut down and I wouldn't know what to do. I'll just stand there and I'll probably like I don't know. I'll just stand there like I'm lost.
Well, what brings you comfort in those moments? Because of course, if we are at a store, if we are at a gathering, there's going to be a lot of people. So you're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to get that feeling of suffocation. So who and what brings you comfort?
So usually, if my mom's there, that brings me comfort, or like cannabis, like that helps me too. Like it'll just like kind of have me ignore the everybody surrounding me, or I'll just put in my headphones and just ignore it.
Yeah,
because it'll make me feel calm, like in my own place.
Yeah. So of course I advocate for cannabis a lot on this podcast. So we're gonna get into that, but for the people who don't know, what was a medicine that you used beforehand? Because a lot of people, I spoke about this a couple of days ago. A lot of people had propaganda against cannabis, against the 820, right? That's what it was, 820 and all that fun stuff. So what was the medication that you were on at first? Yeah, you don't have to say it like, oh, our brother was on Vyvanse, is that? For a while, turned him into a zombie. And you don't have to know the specific names, but it was pills. Doctors prescribed pills.
I was on 2 years of pills, and I was like drooling all over before any of this, and I couldn't help it. And my mom showed up, her obviously, and she took me all off of all this medicine, and she was like, "Hey, he doesn't need to be on all of this." And she introduced me to this cannabis, which helped me a lot and took me off all of it. And I'm feeling normal now. Yeah.
So what is the you said 2 years worth or a 2 years prescription?
Okay. Well, what he's meaning is
yeah, sorry.
Zach was on a lot of medications. At the time, his mother had a drug addiction herself. She passed away of fentanyl overdose when Zach was 9. She was doctor shopping and had Zach on several different medications that he shouldn't have been on. We took his med list to a doctor and showed him, and it took a year to wean him off of all of those medications safely before we could start our cannabis journey.
And how old?
9.
He was 9 when that started.
So you were saying you were drilling on yourself uncontrollably.
Yeah.
Was that the cause of the medication?
Yes. I couldn't help it. And it was just constant. And at my school, these teachers would just have me in a corner just coloring and all this. And I would just be drooling, and I couldn't help it. So... Were
you aware that you were drilling? Like, did you know, or was it like
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no, because I couldn't help it.
You couldn't comprehend what was going on.
Yeah.
How did the teachers and students treat you? Because of course, being 9, we really don't. 9-year-olds don't care about other 9-year-olds' feelings. So, how was that in school?
It didn't feel very good because pretty much I was an outcast, They were like, oh, hey, he's drilling all over himself, and they just had me in a corner coloring and stuff.
So if you were a teacher, how would you help a student like yourself?
I would probably try and talk to the parent, like say, hey, this is happening, or just like send them to an IEP class, like,
which means
help.
Like a special help.
Yeah, special help.
Okay. So get more understanding about your students. Yeah. Stop trying to outcast one from many.
Yeah.
All for one type deal. That's beautiful. So you At 9, his mom passed away, right? Were you aware of that? Like, did it make sense that she was gone?
Not for a while. I didn't know what was really happening until I figured, like, it... I was aware a little bit after.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, my dad sat me down and told me what was really happening and what all happened. And it was happened, like, my brother went upstairs and it was a school day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, hey, he was trying to wake up our mom, and he was like telling her, hey, are you going to take us to school? And she wouldn't wake up, and that's when I was like, oh, something's wrong with mom, and all the police, or not, ambulance, police, and stuff like that showed up. So...
How did that make you feel? Is what he's wondering.
Oh, that didn't... I didn't know how to feel at the time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, 'cause...
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Especially, I know a lot of people with autism or different mental illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an okay word to say? 'Cause
Yeah,
I don't feel like autism is a mental illness.
Yeah,
but
you can say whatever.
Okay, I just didn't. Anyway, a lot of people who have different, special gifts. Let's just say that. Don't understand things like that, and for someone in your situation, it had to have been a little harder. So, tell us how you two met, and how you decided to adopt him, and what was your thoughts on that.
Well, I'll have her talk about that.
Okay.
I started dating Zach's father when he was 9, and then we dated for a year or so. I got to know Zach. Some of the struggles with Zach, I knew nothing about autism, where to even start. I was only a single mom of one child at the time. I was lucky to be working for a doctor and managing a doctor's office at the time. I was going to school to become a nurse practitioner, and I had a team of people that guided me in the right direction to get Zach off all the medications, and we got him on speech therapy, got him the correct glasses. Zach was nonverbal. He made no eye contact. He was locked into his devices. He wasn't included in anything. He was excluded in everything at school. When I finally became Zach's mother and had the abilities to control doctor's appointments, medications, schools, we slowly just revamped his life to benefit him in every way that we could.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he now has deep conversations. He's witty. He's funny. He's on he makes A's and B's now. He's a senior in high school. They told us he wouldn't do this. He plays football, baseball, weightlifting, Votech.
I'm gonna have to see how strong he is. So we're gonna
I'm
figure this
sorry, I
out.
have to tell you that you ain't gonna win that arm battle.
And when Zach's, once he gets to know you and feels a little more comfortable, the conversations come easier to him. And when he was talking about how he felt about what other people thought of him, we've tried to teach Zach it's not his responsibility to control what people think of him. It's his responsibility to feel good about himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, don't worry about them. Don't worry about those people. We don't.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's beautiful. So, of course, me and you had conversations about your past a lot. And seeing a child who experienced some of the things that you did as an adult, how did that make you feel towards him and towards his parents at the time that would allow him to go through this type of stuff? In the sense of, like, pills and all this other stuff.
At the beginning, I'm not going to lie, I was the more I learned about Zach and the history behind his medication and his mom's addiction, I was angry. I was pissed that anybody could just do that to any child.
Mm-hmm.
It was, but she was sick, and she had an illness, she had an addiction, and it took a lot of work on my part and therapy and conversations with Dad and other siblings of his to get past those feelings. And once I did, we made it our family. We left that all in the past, and now we're building us and him and our relationship, and that's how we got to where we are.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand the word addiction.
Yeah.
They think it's something you can control. And I've seen addiction ruin people's relationship with children, ruin their relationship with others, and as we all know, ruin their lives.
Yeah.
So how is that like now hearing that you had an addiction at 9? How does that make you feel about yourself now that you've overcame so much?
Honestly, how it made me feel before.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. How it made me feel before, I didn't know how to feel, but like knowing now, like I didn't like it, you know, 'cause I couldn't help it or anything back then, obviously.
Right.
So like now that I'm over it, I feel fine now. I feel great. I feel amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But like before, knowing now, it was a bad addiction. It wasn't fun. I didn't like it.
Yeah. So when your mom became your mom, how long did it take you to open up to her and see her as somebody who actually loves you and not somebody who's going to hurt you?
Honestly, as soon as she started taking care of me, pretty much, like, you know, I was like, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, oh, this is gonna be my caregiver forever, you know. And I was like, I didn't call her mom at first. I was like, I called her by her like actual name for a little while.
Right.
Like,
and now you get pop if you do, huh?
no. No, I started calling her mom after like maybe a few years.
It was a couple years.
Yeah, a couple years after everything happened, and that's when I always accepted it, you know. So
Yeah. So regardless if you told her, you felt it. You felt that she was your mom.
yeah,
Regardless of you. And now at 9, you had a brother that moved in, right?
yeah.
How was that? Because it was you and your you had another brother, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, 2 brothers.
You had 2 brothers.
Yeah.
And okay, well, how was it getting another brother? And how was your guys' relationship together?
It took a while for us to understand each other because I didn't know what was going on, and I was like, I don't know how to feel about this, but I just eventually grew into it. I was like, okay, this might be good. Maybe me and him will agree with some things, and we do. we butt heads sometimes, but we get along.
Yeah. No, that's exciting. Okay, so question back over here. We talked about addiction just a little bit ago. So we all struggle with some type of addiction, regardless of what it is. It could be addiction to attention, addiction to working out, addiction to drugs. Did you ever have your own addiction that you had to overcome? If so, how was that? And how did you, how was it?
I did. It was actually when I became Zach's mom, I was working and managing a pain management clinic. And it was after my grandfather passed away in 2016 that I realized that I didn't want to be on this medication anymore. And that was when I realized I was an addict. I was a productive addict. It was just life for me. And I was struggling getting sober because the doctor I worked for made it so accessible, and it was normalized in the industry that I worked in at the time. Cannabis was still stigmatized. I went behind everyone's back. I went to my mother. I went by and talked to her about cannabis and providing cannabis for me so that I could wing myself off of pain medication and benzos safely. I had to go behind my husband's back, my children's back, because of the stigma, and it wasn't legal in Oklahoma yet. So it took a couple months, but after that, here I am, 6 years, sober and clean.
Congratulations.
I just recently had surgery on my shoulder, no pain medications, I'm good there. Use cannabis, hash oil, RSO regimen, just layering that medicine all I can.
Right. So again, with autism, A lot of people have stigmas against you guys, calling you guys crazy.
Yeah.
But there's also stigmas with addicts. And we personally know addicts. And they're made fun of a lot. They are shunned, they are looked down upon. But people don't understand the decision when they first chose to become an addict.
Yeah.
Well, nobody chose to become an addict,
Yeah,
but chose to do this drug.
Yeah.
We don't know how they were feeling. We don't know what led them to that. We don't know their life. So for people to have these type of negative annotations towards these people really hurts me, because it's like, what if they just weren't strong enough?
Yeah.
What if some of the stuff that you can overcome, they couldn't? And that sucks. And for you to say you had to go behind people's back to use cannabis, well, how was it? Did other people know you were an addict to this medication, or was that something that you found out once you wanted to stop?
It was something, it happened when I wanted to stop. I had had surgeries, and I was a nurse, and I worked a lot of hours. So I took it on time like I was supposed to. And then when I tried to get off the medication, it was how it made me feel. I couldn't function to be a mom or the nurse or the boss that I needed to be. And I was going out of my way to make sure I was doing things not, how do I word that?
Thank you.
Of my character. I was out of my character. And I didn't want to live that lifestyle anymore. And that's when I realized that's when I was addicted. And how much it was going to change my life, and how much it was going to change my children's life to fight through that addiction. But I still felt like I was hiding something, because I was having to use cannabis to keep from being addicted. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. It's really
No, it's fine. So,
yeah.
So for the people who don't understand what cannabis is, they think it's a drug. They think it's a gateway drug. They think it's all this extra stuff. And how weird it is that we used to think that being addicted to pills were more acceptable than using weed. So what would you say for the people who only see it as drugs and not medicine? Yeah, dumb as fuck.
Man.
Yeah, goofballs.
Obviously uneducated, that's one.
Yeah, they're just uneducated. They've been fed a stigma, propaganda for years. I'll be honest, I'm called a glorified drug dealer by my youngest son's grandparents.
I got called a drug dealer once too.
And
I was like, okay.
I'm managing a dispensary that's providing quality medicine. We sponsor cancer patients. We have seizure patients. We have rec patients that have turned into patients. You educate them every time they come in the door when they're coming in for this pre-roll or this certain edible. And they're learning about pain creams and terpenes and cannabinoids and how to layer the medications. They come in, I have an aunt or an uncle or a family member or a friend that's going through this. Do you think this would help them? And then we just educate them on them. And then they bring that person in. And it just turns, that's the only way we're going to be able to break the stigma.
Right.
Is being proactive and educate.
Yeah. So putting your child on cannabis at whatever age it was. 16. What was of course the decision was to better him, is to help him. But how did you, if any, get past the criticism that you was going to face from other people?
Wait, is this to me or her?
Because being called a drug dealer, that must be hard. Sorry.
Well, at the time we were living in a small town. Ethan's graduating from that school. I was a Sunday school teacher, PTO mom, volunteered for everything. Wednesday night church. The town, we supported the town in every event that we could. And once I became open about being a cannabis user and how I was going to treat Zach with cannabis the best that we could for his anxieties and autism moments is what he calls them. So, autism moments.
It's a good one.
So, I mean, it was hard because the people that we thought would support us didn't, and the ones that we were thinking would be like, oh my gosh, they were the most supportive.
Yeah.
So, Zach and them, and the more open I was, they became bullied about it. Their mom was just a stupid stoner and a drug addict, and I was turning him into a drug addict. But after a couple years of him being on cannabis and everyone seeing the benefits, it backed off. They backed off a lot. We moved into a different town. He still goes to school, and I focused my career on cannabis and educating people on cannabis and the benefits and just being proactive. We're here to be impactful, not impressive.
Right.
Yeah.
So, of course, going to school when people are being mean to your mom, someone you grew to love, someone who took care of you, how did that make you feel? Because, of course, you don't care how other people feel about you, but we care about how people feel about our mom. So how did you handle that?
Well, I had to just ignore them and just tell them maybe you should like learn more about this stuff than instead of just like picking on somebody that can't even probably defend themselves, like even if they're not even here. So I have to tell them like I just either ignore them or just tell them go educate yourself before you just start talking. So
Yeah. That's something that I find really beautiful about you is how every time you communicate with other people who either don't understand or are too ignorant to even care, you come at them with positivity and love. Me, I'm not that type of person. I would get angry. Our brother, he's really quick to anger, so it's beautiful to see how you still have your tism moments, but you're still compassionate and loving, while these other people are quote unquote normal and act like children. So I commend you for that. So that was really dope. So cannabis has been a real big thing. You say you now manage a dispensary. What kind of people? You say people with cancer, seizures, and all that other different diseases. How golly, how has that made you feel knowing that you are impacting people's lives when at one point people shunned you for that, if that makes sense?
How does it make me feel?
For example, so this guy came in and he has some type of pain. I forgot if he was older or whatever the case may be. And I introduced him to the RSO, which is Rick Simpson oil, and that is a pure extraction of THC. And, I just gave him the information on that, and he bought it, and hopefully it's helping him with his pain or whatever. So to me, it makes me feel good that some people don't have to go to doctors to get prescribed pain medicine that could either kill them or get addicted to them, ruin their lives. So in that sense, how does that make you feel knowing you're making a difference in somebody else's life, knowing how prescription drugs affected yours? That's a way better question, by the way. Empowering.
It's empowering because it gives you the ability to bless others with the education and the quality medicine. Like the Rick Simpson oil or FICO, there's full spectrum hash oil. All of this has the cannabinoids, terpenes, to benefit our endocannabinoid system. Educating the patients on how to layer their medications. It's life-changing. You have people come in to see you, to thank you for just a little bit of knowledge that they needed to get a good night's sleep or to make their lower back pain tolerable. In my case, I have rheumatoid arthritis. It's an autoimmune disease. I was on all kinds of medications. I had hair loss. I lost my eyebrows, eyelashes to it. That affects your whole life. It affects your self-esteem. It affects, you go into a depression, and then you have anxiety, and it's a vicious cycle because when you're in pain, you don't know how long it's going to last. That's where that anxiety comes from. So when you use cannabis and you start feeling some kind of ease in your anxiety and your body relaxes and you can feel some comfort, and then you have of course, you get the head high or the euphoric high that gives you some kind of joy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that should be accessible to everybody, to everyone. When you see a cancer patient's been vomiting their guts up, sweating, pale, miserable, just holding on, and you give them cannabis in doses that give them relief, and why can't cannabis be fun? Cannabis brings joy to people that need it, and that's giving people power back. It's empowering.
Right. Yeah. So our little sister, I'd probably talked to you about this. She had eye cancer.
Glioblastoma. I ain't say it right, but
Something like that.
I'm not good with words either.
And she also was a premature baby. So having these two things set against her. And that's where I started wanting to use cannabis for my own personal mental illnesses or whatever the case may be. When my mom introduced me. Because, okay, a little history lesson about myself. So, my parents used to smoke weed. Or my dad used to smoke weed. And to me, it felt like it ruled over his life. We weren't tolerable to him unless he was high.
Yeah.
We came second to that drug at the time. So as I got older, I formed my own stigma and hatred towards this because it took away happiness. It took away a father figure from me. That's how I saw it.
Yeah.
But once my little sister had cancer, and this was years, like, she's only 4, so 4 years ago, this is where I started getting the knowledge of that. Why do you think, or in my case, I had to have a personal connection to cannabis to understand. For people who probably will never have that type of personal connection, how do you think they could, if they want to, learn more about cannabis if they don't want to research? Just go up to a dispensary or talk to your local cannabis user? How do you think people will come to accept it, if that makes sense?
Probably they would, if they want to learn about it and not go on the internet and learn about it, like you said, they would probably have to go to a dispensary or someone that knows about it already, like family member or family, or my mom.
Yeah, just her. Yeah, just have to be accepting to that type of deal. So now that you are on cannabis, you say that it helped you become more social. It helped you become more at ease in situations that could be bothersome to you. Yeah. So you're not a kid anymore. So for young adults such as yourself that have autism or have different type of special needs and they are afraid to try cannabis, what would you tell them?
I'll probably have to tell them, don't be afraid, it'll be okay. And if you don't like it, then you don't have to use it. I wouldn't force it on them, I would just say, try it at first, see if you like it, and if it helps you, then you just keep using it. And there's multiple others.
Yeah.
There's obviously CBD oil. They don't just have to smoke weed. They can just get CBD or
gummies, tinctures,
yeah.
So, have you spoke? Well, it took us a while to key in your dose. We had to figure out. We had to journal. We had to figure out how you felt before, during, and after when you would take medications. It takes a while. Cannabis is what I like to call a customizable medication. Smoking isn't for everyone. Mm-hmm. The onset is so quick because the onset's within 8 seconds. Sometimes people like to ease into their medication and take an edible. It takes anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes a little over an hour, depending on your metabolism. There's just different ways to medicate, and you have to find out what's best for you. And in Zach's case, he uses full spectrum tinctures, gummies, and then he even likes the carts now.
Oh, really?
And now that he's older and adult, he likes to indulge in a little bit, just like the rest of us.
Of course. It's a good time.
Yeah. So, cannabis is fun. It's beneficial. It brings joy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's beautiful. So now for the most fun part of this podcast, comic books.
Oh.
We talk about on the other podcasts, my Comic Cons podcast about comic books. We talk about how a lot of people, such as yourself and even me, to an occasion, were outcasts, and comic books brought us comfort. How old were you when you started reading comic books, and how did that feel while you were reading? Because for me, it puts me into the mindset of a superhero or as a detective, and the pictures bring a certain type of realism to it for me. So how is that for you?
It kind of brings me in my own world, you know, like I like to learn about like all of these characters and how they do and stuff, like kind of like you know, and it brings me joy. I like to read about them.
Yeah. So what is something that a superhero taught you that a real human couldn't? So, like, for me, I love anime.
Yeah.
And, like, Naruto, for example, you know, the never give up, or the determination when everybody else is against you. Is there a life lesson that you learned from a fictional character?
Honestly, if I could learn something one about him, just no matter what you are or who you are, just keep on going, never give up, pretty much.
So, are you a DC or Marvel guy? Or what kind of comic books do you like?
Flash.
Flash, so DC. What about Flash do you enjoy?
His speed.
His speed?
Yeah.
See, I mean, this is my big pet peeve with Flash, right? He be getting hit. How could you hit somebody who's faster than sound? I don't get it. And it pisses me off, but
well, like,
it's just me.
He can be hit, like, obviously by Superman, too.
If I get hit by Superman, that would hurt. I would probably die.
Well, that would hurt, though. Yeah, that would leave a hole through you. Well, obviously, with him, it doesn't, because he has this...
The fast metabolism and all that fun stuff.
And obviously it doesn't hurt him. And if he could go back, he could just retry the fight again. He keeps on doing it over and over. And obviously that just creates an
endless
timeline.
Loop of everything.
Yeah.
So...
You like that he doesn't give up.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of... I feel like that's...
He takes those punches, but he doesn't give up.
That is true. Especially when he went to, was it... Flashpoint, but when he was fighting Gorilla Grodd in that stadium, he's getting his ass whooped. So, yeah. And then especially by Oliver, or Green Arrow.
Oh, Green Arrow obviously beat him in a fight, too.
Yeah, I did see that, but, you know, I love Green Arrow. So...
I'm just kidding.
So, we talked about the new Flash movie. Have you seen the trailer yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's pretty cool. So, of course, remember in the Flash TV show, Barry goes back to save his mom. And his mom's alive and all this different shit.
And that obviously creates Flashpoint.
Yes. Yeah. So, in this multiverse, so, are you familiar with Batman?
Yes.
So, Michael Keaton, Batman. Do you know? Okay, so Michael Keaton's Batman is going to be in that movie. So, so Flash, so Flash goes back in time and he meets the Michael Keaton Batman. But I think him saving his mom, there was no heroes. Heroes never existed. Yeah. So they're like getting taken over, and Flashpoint is, of course, crazy.
Flashpoint's created.
But that's the only thing I think Flash is bad at. Is having the ability to alter things that can't be.
He obviously says that. He said he wished he couldn't just create stuff by accident. Like he made this world where his friends, family were dead, and his friends end up finding out because he tells them, and they're like, "Oh, we don't want to be your friend anymore because you just created another Flashpoint."
Well, like when he went back in time and oh my goodness, the long-haired one.
Cisco?
Cisco, yes. Yeah. So his brother ended up dying because of Flashpoint.
And then he finds out. And
that's crazy.
How
would you have felt?
I honestly would probably feel the same too.
I had to fight him.
I'm like, hey man, you killed my brother, and this wasn't supposed to happen.
Well, because I don't feel like Barry necessarily ever helped anybody besides him and Iris. Yeah. Because with Savitar, had to go back in time almost every time, or had to
Pretty much, yeah.
and then ended up sacrificing one of the scientists.
Yeah. It turns out the scientist was also evil, too.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Because, well, he ended up becoming Reverse Flash,
Yeah.
right?
Reverse. Or, wait, which scientist? Are we talking about,
The one that was in the wheelchair at
Oh,
first.
okay, yeah,
He
yeah.
ended up becoming Reverse Flash, or
Yeah.
it was Reverse Flash.
He was the Reverse Flash the whole
That's
time.
crazy.
Yeah. Eobard Thawne, and then, I don't... There was two of them.
These two?
No, yeah.
Who's the one in the black suit? There's
Black
one in the yellow suit, and there's one in the black suit that comes back in Flash.
Oh, Zoom.
Zoom, that's what, yes,
Yeah.
Zoom. Oh, those are deadly. You know, the coolest move is when he vibrates his hand and, like, puts it in the...
Yeah. And
By far the coolest thing ever.
He,
They just did that to Barry to save his life in that
Yeah.
episode that you and I watched.
He, Zoom, if I remember right, it was a different version of Barry.
Mm-hmm.
And he would...
That's the burned one,
Yeah,
right?
the burn mark. And each version tries to teach Flash how to become faster, obviously, and each one, obviously, as I've seen, each one carries on, like, they don't touch the ground as fast as they run. So Barry obviously tries to get as fast as he can. So
That's crazy. Do you watch any of the animated versions, like on HBO?
I don't know. I don't have HBO.
There was this one where the Justice League had... It was like a different dimension or multiverse, and it was the Justice League, but they were evil.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was Batman. They had to, like, open up the Speed Force or a dimension, and Barry was like, I'm fast enough to do it, and the other Barry was like, no, I'm faster. And then Batman was like, okay, Barry, you're not fast enough, he's fast enough. But at the end, he shook so fast, it aged him.
Yeah.
So, like, Batman saved Barry, but killed the other guy. I was like, that's kind of fucked up. But, you know, things happen. So it's exciting to hear how comic books has been an escape for you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand the enjoyment of it. Like, you saw my collection.
Yeah.
I'm 24. What kind of grown men don't collect comic books?
Well,
so to say. But yes,
yeah,
it is okay.
It's okay. But, like, it's okay. There's not a problem with it, but people are just like, oh, you have an obsession, you're, like, this old, and you... Screw them.
Yeah. So, we'll probably end it probably after this question. So, with everything that you have been through, and the ups and the downs, what is one big thing that you have taken away? Either you know you can overcome things, you're stronger than you are, or that you think you are. Actually, better question. What is a superpower that you have gained from the time you were born until now?
Probably knowing that don't change who you are, and, like, don't let yourself down, and just keep on getting back up. No matter what.
Keep on keeping on.
Yeah, just keep on keeping on.
I heard that quote on Joe Dirt, and I was like, that's the coolest fucking... That and the quote, I didn't come this far just to come this far. That one's really good. Well, I appreciate you coming
Let's see
by.
that arm wrestle.
I'm not putting that on camera just in case. We'll leave this house.
You worried you gonna be
Great
beat?
on camera, though. They
Right?
look so good.
They do look really good.
Yeah. Can you look? What?
Yeah.
No. Thank you.
Oh, actually, yeah. We didn't talk about the reason why you wanted braids.
I wanted style. After, like, I stopped picking up my hair and stuff, I was like, I want something that'll look good, you know? Instead of just, like...
Just be
Yeah.
crazy hair man.
I just wanted to test out something, and I this looks really good. I like it.
Yeah, and you're half black, right?
Yeah.
So was that something that you wanted to dive into, your other half?
Yeah.
That's exciting because a lot of people in the world think our hair and our culture is annoying and unprofessional. So for you to want to embrace that is really encouraging, and it is very powerful for you to do that. So I commend you, buddy, and I appreciate everything
you.
that you've been through. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm here.
Good. I'm
Yeah.
glad.
I was kind of nervous. I was like,
You don't gotta be nervous. And maybe we can have you on the comic book one, and then we'll show you around and all that fun stuff. There's some Comic Cons if you want to come.
okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, more than welcome to come. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple. I know we're advertising one at the dispensary in August. But, yeah, anything else from you? Anything else from you?
No, thank you for being here. Thank you
Thank
for, bringing us on here so that we can bring attention to cannabis, autism,
Of course.
just a life in a Zach moment.
Well, it's been my pleasure as well.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Everyone, I appreciate you guys for watching this video, and hopefully this conversation brought light to topics that are probably uncomfortable for a lot of people or even unfamiliar. So, visit your local dispensary, say hi to your bud tenders, love people who are different, love people who are hard to love people who are easy to love. Until next time, may your pain be champagne.
Ooh, you ate that.
I really appreciate it. I try so hard.